Hello folks, welcome to El Canal Channel Jose. Today we're going to show you, give you an idea how to replace the rear shocks on the 98 to 2004 Nissan Frontier. And this is for the two-wheel drive, not for the four-wheel drive. And the part number for this, we're going to leave you a link right below so you can look up. It's a KYB part, and we bought it, two of them for this truck is required. We replaced both of them, and these are the original Nissan. So these come from the factory, so they needed to be replaced. So now we put KYBs in, and so that job is pretty easy. All you need is a 70mm socket or wrench. And with that said, we're gonna show the procedures, how easy it is to do it yourself. With that, let's get started. So to change these shocks on this Frontier, we have one shock on the driver's side and one on the passenger side. And the driver's side shock is in front of the axle, and there's a 70mm nut on here and 70mm nut in right there. You just take those two out, and then we'll slide the new shock right in there. The passenger side is behind the axle, and we have a 70mm nut right here and a 70mm nut right here. So what you can do is you can throw some WD-40 right there and right here to take them off, and then we slide it out. Shocks, when you buy them, they don't have sides, but you have to put this like this so that the dust doesn't fall in when you put it. Like if you put it like this, you're gonna have problems. So now we take out the passenger side, 70mm nut, 70mm nut, and we take them off. So now what we're going to be doing is we're going to take out the bottom piece out, and what you can do is you can put WD-40 right in there. You break that piece loose, and then that shock hangs, and then you can work the upper piece. So we start with the bottom one. So now we have the original shock right down there, 260,000 miles, and it's fully compressed and it's staying there. So we're gonna compare it to the new one, KYB, to show you the difference on what it's gonna be. So now when we start sliding the shock into this rod, which is welded to the frame, we're gonna add some oil in there too, so the rubber of the shock slides right in there, and we can start putting it together. And we'll do the same thing to the bottom one, so that way we can start on top and then work on the bottom one. So now what we have is the bottom piece. We have to compress the shock and then slide it into this rod, and then but we have to lubricate right in here, so that way it lubricates itself as we slide the ear or the rubber of the shock into it, because this is new. It's going to try to decompress itself, so we want to make our job easier. So now we put the bottom washer and the nut, and we tighten it up, the upper part and the lower part. We're done with the passenger side. We have a shock, washer, nut, and then we tighten it. And then we have shock, washer, and nut, and tighten it. And you want to make sure you put this shock the right way, because if you put this the opposite way, it has to go like that. But if you put it like that, all the stuff is going to fall right in there, and it's going to damage the shock. So that's made for water, dust, and everything to run off and not collect inside. In the cylinder will be safer. So that's how it should be. So now we go to the driver's side. This shock right here is facing to the front of the truck. So we're gonna take this nut and this nut up here, 70 millimeter, and then we're gonna slide the shock out and slide the new one in. So now that we took the bottom nut and the upper nut with the washers, now we gotta pull it out inwards. There's a truck, and then we can slide it out from the bottom and then the upper part. This is the driver's side old shock. Let's compress it and see what happens. So now what we'll have to do is lubricate that area where the new shock is gonna slide right on it, so we can have easier job, and then we can put the washer and nut, and then we can come down to the lower part and start putting it together. So we have put the shock in the upper piece, washer and nut, and also on the bottom shock, washer and nut. So we tighten in bottom and upper piece, and that will conclude the replacement of the shocks on this Nissan Frontier. Well, folks, here's the passenger side shock being replaced. We have put everything back together like it should. So we're gonna start with a fresh shock. Here's the original one, Nissan, and we have that driver's side shock as well replaced. And here's the original one that we took from the driver's side that was right in there, original one as well. And the only tool that we used was a 70 millimeter wrench, and you can use some WD-40 or some lube to help those nuts come out, and then use some oil or WD-40 to slide that rubber from the shocks in. That's all we did. And other than lifting the truck today, that helped a lot, but you don't need to do that. If this is just to show you better point of view of how we did this job. And well, folks, hopefully this video was useful and helpful, and the only things that we were required to use for this replacement was the 2 shocks, brand new. These were the old ones equipped from Nissan, and the 70 millimeter wrench that we use, and a little bit of the lubricant to take those nuts off of the studs that are welded or are in the truck and the suspension. And we lifted the truck so you can get a better image of what we're doing, so that way it makes your job easier. So it's pretty simple replacement. You don't have to take it to a shop. You just gotta buy the new shocks, and once you get those, you can do it yourself. Even with a truck in the ground, you can just crawl underneath in a concrete path, and you don't even have to lift the truck up. We just did it for us to show you can do this replacement. And with that said, folks, for folks who are watching our video and haven't subscribed, please subscribe to our channel. If you like the video, give us thumbs up, share it, and we'll see you soon with more videos here in el canal El Chano Jose.